move on to your guy, Sammy Darnold. Colin, Sam Darnold stepped to the podium this week, and he was asked about, oh boy, the big move, the Myles Garrett to the Rams move. So Darnold, of course, ever the statesman now, he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
Bro.
He had a fun comment on Myles Garrett joining the Rams. Here's Sam Darnold.
Myles is a great player. Jared Verse is a great player as well. But I don't think we see them until week 16. So, we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
No bulletin board material from slinging Sammy D.
You know what's really interesting about Darnold? So what is the number of games that you think it's reasonable to judge a quarterback? Like if I said, okay, let's take a guy's last 30 starts. Is that a big enough sample?
So that's 2 seasons.
Yeah, I mean, you want to go to 35 starts. How about 35 starts?
I think context is needed, Colin. Was there a head coaching change?
Let's go to the last 6 games of Sam Darnold in Carolina. 1 start in San Francisco, full year in Minnesota, full year in Seattle, 4 teams, 36 games. Go look at his passer rating.
Is it good?
I think it's number 1 in the league.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I'm not, listen, not patting myself in the back, but this whole thing about all I heard in Seattle was, no Kevin O'Connell. You're right. We didn't even know if JSN was the number 1 receiver. When are we all going to come clean on this? We have. And just acknowledge he is a top 10 quarterback based on the last 35 starts, 2 teams, 2 receiving corps, 2 left tackles, 2 coordinators, multiple 3 teams if you count the last 6 games at Carolina where he was benched and then started and went 4-2 down the stretch.
Okay, so Colin really went off on a complete detour there. I was under the impression we'd be discussing the Seattle Seahawks and Sam Darnold without turning it into an exclusive deep dive on Sam Darnold as a standalone figure. I honestly thought we had moved beyond that to some extent, but apparently not, because I'm struggling to see how any of that ties into Myles Garrett and the Los Angeles Rams. So, I'll steer things back where they belong. But before I get into it, Seattle Seahawks supporters, please, I'm begging you, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and watch the full video from start to finish. When you do that, the view counts absolutely explode. Subscriber numbers go through the roof. And let me be clear, this isn't about obsessively chasing view counts or subscriptions for their own sake. It's about being able to produce Seattle Seahawks content that people genuinely look forward to watching and talking about, so we can continue having the most unbiased, level-headed, and honest conversations about this team. It makes a monumental difference, and I would truly, truly appreciate your support. But yes, this is exactly why the way the schedule is laid out is such a disappointment. I've always hated it ever since the fixture list came out, the fact that the Rams and the Seahawks are set to face each other in Week 16 and then again in Week 18. Honestly, that just seems like complete nonsense to me. Why does it have to be so late in the year, and then why are those E2 matchups crammed so closely together? By Week 18, the game could very well mean absolutely nothing. You know how the NFL is, they're constantly desperate to recreate what they had a couple of years ago with Detroit and Minnesota. They tried to manufacture that same energy with the 49ers, but it just didn't carry the same weight. That Lions-Vikings contest felt like a genuine playoff atmosphere, like, oh my god, what's about to happen here? It was massive, absolutely huge. The league keeps chasing that feeling, chasing that sense of extra postseason drama, but the reality is that Week 18 contest might end up being totally meaningless. Under that scenario, all the starters could be sitting out. Myles Garrett might not even suit up. Sam Darnold could potentially not play. Matthew Stafford, same thing. And on top of that, so late in the season, there's a genuine possibility that the Rams and the Seahawks could end up playing each other 3 times in the span of roughly 4 weeks, or 5 weeks, something along those lines. And it's just, well, you know. As a coaching staff, you're going to approach that game with a completely different mindset and play-calling strategy. Nick actually had a fantastic take a few years ago, and it was about the tush-push. He said, I believe the Chiefs have a way to stop it. But if they do, they're not going to show it. This was back in 2023, during their matchup that year, because if there's a rematch down the line, they wouldn't want to tip their hand. Or, alternatively, they might want to show it just so everyone else learns how to stop it. I actually thought that was a pretty intriguing perspective. Obviously, that's about a single play, a single aspect of the game you're trying to accomplish. But the principle applies here. You're going to keep a lot of your cards close to your chest when you're facing a team that late in the season. By that point, you already know all the math. By week 16, you'll know exactly where you stand. You'll know what your own team needs to do and what all the other teams need to happen, whether you're trying to win the division, where you sit in the rankings, the standings, all of that. So all of that information is going to be incredibly clear. It's a lot easier to calculate all those scenarios in week 16 than it is in week 4 or week 5. So it's just frustrating because you hear Darnold saying, "Oh, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it." But the problem is, I'm not even sure that bridge will still be there for you to cross once you arrive, given how late in the season it is. So yeah, I find this whole situation really irritating because it would be so amazing to see this matchup in, say, week 6, let's go, let's get after it. But instead, it's like, no, you're going to play the Rams twice in 3 weeks, and then maybe 3 times in 4 or 5 weeks, and I'm just sitting here thinking, okay, fine, sure. I mean, there is a scenario. I don't know. I'll leave it at that for now. When it comes to the scheduling complaints. But on another note, I also appreciated how Sam mentioned that Jared Verse was great. That shows you just how mature and grounded Sam really is. He made a point of complimenting Jared Verse on his way out the door, which is something I genuinely respect and appreciate. I know Seahawks fans have felt a tremendous amount of disrespect this offseason, especially with all the emphasis placed on the Los Angeles Rams and all the momentum they seem to have, from a fan perspective, from a media perspective, from an overall NFL perspective. There's so much attention on the Rams, and fans are saying, this is so disrespectful to the Seahawks. And sure, the Rams are the ones who won the Super Bowl. They're the ones who have been great. They're the ones who have been dominant. But the reality is, you have to keep improving. You can't just stay the same. It reminds me of the coach from Notre Dame that Colin was talking about in relation to the NFL. Colin was laughing and saying, it's clear the NFL doesn't want you to just keep being great, right? They make it difficult for you to remain great because they want distribution. They want the Rams to be able to win, the Seahawks to be able to win, the Eagles to be able to win. They don't want one team to easily build some super team and just keep winning and winning. So in the NFL, if you're not getting better, if you're not taking significant steps forward, then there's a strong chance you're going to move backward. There's a good chance you'll regress. So you just have to ask yourself, where can this team take a big leap forward? Where can they make a major stride? And that's why things are kind of perfect, because my entire focus has been on the defense. It's about Mike Macdonald. How can he elevate this defense even further? How can he make it even more of an asset, even more dominant? How can he turn this unit into the true, bona fide number 1 defense in the NFL and take a huge amount of pressure off the offense? How can he relieve the burden on the new offensive coaching staff and all of that? That's what I'm looking for. And that's exactly what the Rams are trying to do as well. They're asking, how can we make our defense significantly better? That's been their entire focus. Let's improve the defense. Let's keep making it better. Now, to be fair and clear, of course the Rams had way more work to do on defense than the Seahawks. Seattle already had an awesome, top-tier defense. But that's where I'm looking at Mike Macdonald and wondering, what do you have in store? If Myles Garrett and this Rams defense significantly elevate their game, what are you doing to slow down that Los Angeles offense? What's your plan to prevent the Rams from forcing Sam Darnold and the Seahawks offense into a chaotic, all-out melee? Now that the Rams have even more defensive firepower to hold Sam and company back, I put that challenge squarely on Mike Macdonald's shoulders. He needs to elevate the defense in these types of situations. Because, honestly, both regular season games last year were a little bit wild on the defensive side, albeit for different reasons. All of Sam's turnovers, and then the first half of the second game wasn't great for them, but the second half was, and then they allowed a touchdown in overtime, yet still managed to win. So I can't say it was the most complete defensive performance. There were definitely some great moments, but it wasn't at the top of the list of awesome defensive showings. And the same thing in the playoffs, again, they had their moments for sure, especially some individual plays, but overall, it wasn't as if they made everything brutal for the Rams, the way they did against, say, the New England Patriots. And again, it's not that you can always replicate a Patriots-style game or what you did against the 49ers. But you're going to need shades of that against the Rams, and again, you want to do that to take pressure off your offense. It makes me think of when Fangio came out and said, everyone was talking about the Eagles' offense having problems, and technically the Eagles were a top 5 defense. I think they were ranked 5th. But our defense needs to be better. We need to be better and make things easier for our offense. The offense got way too much attention. Our defense needs to improve. I really appreciate that mentality. It's such a defensive-minded approach, and I truly respect that. And that's exactly how I'm looking at this Seahawks team. Last year, I was viewing everything largely through the lens of Sam Darnold. You guys know I was mega high on Sam, mega high on Clint Kubiak. Obviously I love Mike McDonald as well, but that was really my primary focus. And now this year, I'm looking at it through Mike McDonald. What else does he have up his sleeve? How else can he elevate this defense right now? To me, that will be the make or break factor. And that's why Colin, kind of sidesteps the issue and says it's time for us to talk about how great Sam Darnold is. And I think we've already done that, right? I don't think that's the conversation to be having right now. The conversation is about Myles Garrett. The Rams are coming. The Rams are making a ton of moves to dethrone the Seattle Seahawks. What's the ultimate plan moving forward for the Seahawks team? How do they still win the division? How do they still win the NFC? How do they still win the whole league? And it's not simply a matter of Sam Darnold being a top 10 quarterback. That could be true, or it could be false. It's irrelevant in this immediate moment. Because you're not saying the Rams are going to win it all just because Matthew Stafford is the top quarterback in the NFL. No, you say, they've got Myles Garrett, they've got Puka Nacua, they've got Devontae, they've got Karen Williams, they've got Kobe Durant, they've got Sean McVay. You name all of it. So I think we can move on a little bit from that Sam Darnold-centric focus. And that's coming from someone who is heavily centered on Sam Darnold over the last 2 seasons. But I believe we've graduated from that. Those are just my thoughts, though. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you all think about the Seattle Seahawks? Sam Darnold? All the moves the Los Angeles Rams are making? How do you feel? You're a Seahawks fan. You're seeing all these moves happening around the league, obviously especially with the Rams. What does that mean to you? Are you a little uncomfortable? Are you a little nervous? Do you feel a bit less confident? Or does it not matter to you at all? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment, whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get into some discussions. Let's get into some debates, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you be a part of it. I want to create something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something we're truly excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to making that happen. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, it really does help with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much.